What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to the second part of the 2024 End of the Year Awards for the Best and the Worst of WWE from Smark Out Moment. We are, of course, rolling along here. We did the technical awards in part one. Go back and check that out if you haven't checked that out already. And we are going to be rolling along into the writing awards. We'll explain what that means in a moment, but just in case you are, for some reason, clicking on this first more than anything, I'm Tony Mango, joined by Robert DeFelice.
You know, I'm something of a writer myself.
I just bumped into Willem Dafoe today. He did not acknowledge my head nod. But that's okay. If he did, he probably would have thrown a pumpkin bomb at me or something. So, shout out to Willem Dafoe. Awesome dude.
Hell yeah. Great powerbomb.
We are recording this on the 17th of December at 11:21 at night. I don't know why that would necessarily matter, but maybe something happens at 11:22. And
midnight.
Yeah. And we are rolling along here the way that we've mentioned before. You can check out that we have already done, at this point, at the very least, part one of the End of the Year Awards for the WWE side of things with the technical skills. We also actually have taken care of two parts of the AEW awards of the technical skills and the writing awards for that one. So in the afternoon tomorrow, we're going to do our performer awards and round that out. But obviously we got to do, a little bit here and there bouncing around. So be sure to check out that side of things too. We've already given you plugs at the beginning of this, so I'm not going to bother with any of that. You guys know the score. Like, share, favorite, follow, subscribe. Toss a little spare change our way. Redbubble, TeePublic. There you go. Got them all done in 30 seconds.
I'll throw this out there since we recorded the Performer Awards last night. And I watched NXT tonight, and I gotta say, I want to throw in my nod for Lash Legend as one of the most improved as well. Because, good for her. You know, I remember when I think she might have been one of ours, worst performer of the year a couple of years ago.
She was definitely in that running. We were really down on her for a while. I know that Callum especially was.
Yeah, she's good now. Shout out to Lash Legend. And shout out to Jakara Jackson. I love seeing people actually improve.
That's the goal.
That's, I'm coming into this with a positive attitude. Let's see how quickly that changes.
Yeah. Well, the writing awards are broken up into, of course, a couple different categories here. Each category has its own separate sections of best and worst, except for one of them, the most shocking moment of the year. We'll get to that when we get to that one, though. So it's pretty much the same exact setup as we did the last time, and we've done for 15 years worth of this thing. So, let's get the party started and be sure that you also let us know what your choices are in the comments below. Keep that in mind as we go along here. That's the easiest way for you to do that is if you're listening to this, you just write down, okay, catchphrase, best equals whatever, worst equals whatever, instead of going back and having to try to figure it all out again. So that is what we're starting off with, though. The best and the worst catchphrase or slogan of the year. And that could be any sort of different thing that they say. It's some kind of, it's something that's like a signature that they say during their promos, or it's some kind of a little recurring tick with their character gimmick or something along those lines. I have a couple of different things written down, as I had said before on the previous time. So let's start off with the worst. So it's usually good to, get the bad out first. I am not a fan of the Judgment Day runs Monday Night Raw. I've hated that this year.
I think that was more of a last year thing.
More of a last year thing than this year, but they still carried it over into this year.
Hey, how do you feel about when you listen to Finn, you win?
Not a fan. I want Judgment Day to break up so badly.
Well, you're going to get your wish now.
I really hope so. I have down as well, I just have written down, Pure Fusion Collective has a slogan, right?
No.
I'm pretty sure that they have something that Zoe Stark even said on this episode of Raw this week. And I can't remember for the life of me what it is. So it's clearly not catchy enough. I hate the name Pure Fusion Collective as well. I think it's stupid. I have three other ones written down, though. And as always, maybe people can leave a comment and you might jog our memories about something that we were forgetting or something. But the other three that I've written down are when other people kept using finish the story. And it was like, that's the Cody thing. And even Cody got annoyed with it. But my God,
Cody
at the beginning of this year.
Mad. By the time we got to Mania, he was like, I hate that phrase.
Right. Everybody was using it. Chad Gable was using it. It was like, come on, man. Why are you just biting off the same thing? I also have written down, I'm going to read this verbatim. Blank returns to Raw/SmackDown when they were there 2 weeks prior, like The Rock being on February 16th and then advertised as, quote, returning on March 1st.
Yeah, I understand that.
They were doing that a lot at the beginning of this year. It was like, hey, everybody, Roman Reigns returns to SmackDown. And it was like, okay, he's on every other week at that point. What do you mean he returns to SmackDown? Just say he's going to be there.
That went a long way into establishing this thing that I hate. Where, it's so much better to not come to work. You know, like, really establishing, like, if he's not here, the show means shit. You know, I hate that. Sorry, I probably ruined the monetization.
Nah, doesn't matter. Fuck that. The one I'm going to pick, though, is something that isn't from the very, very beginning of this year, but it is something that they've been really beating the drum for in the most recent.
Wait, do we have the same thing?
Maybe?
Ooh.
Is yours about Braun Breaker?
Oh, no.
Okay, because mine is when they keep referring to Braun Breaker as the unpredictable badass. What does this guy do that makes him unpredictable?
Well, he's a tweener.
That just means that he's a dick to everybody.
Yeah, but he's unpredictable. The minute he'll be a dick to you, the next he'll be a dick to me.
It's easily predictable. He'll just be a dick to you. Just don't trust him. And it's like, okay, is he unpredictable because he does the spear? No, he runs around and he does the spear. We know he does. That's what's fun about him doing that. I don't know why they went with unpredictable. They could have gone with any other type of thing. And it could have been like the brawling badass, the speed demon, or the whatever, like you could have done with unpredictable.
The speed demon, I kind of like that.
There you go. See, I just out of my ass, I ended up coming up with that more. And the unpredictable badass, he's not unpredictable at all. He's not Edge, where it's like, oh my God, he randomly takes out Mr. Kennedy and then cashes in on Undertaker on the opposite brand or something. Like, that's unpredictable. But that's an opportunist. And Braun Breaker's just like, I spear people. It's like, oh my God, unpredictable. And the way that they say it too, they're like, the unpredictable badass. And it's like, you call yourself a badass, you're not a badass.
I'm gonna just say this right now. He is badass. I think he can say whatever he wants. Like,
they say it for him at least.
So he's got a thing called EAT. Effort, attitude, toughness. It's a lot. Look, it spells something out. It's a lot better than hustle, loyalty, and respect. Like, by that alone.
Oh, that means I have to put him at a big man buffet at some point.
Yeah, you will. And they just started putting that on a shirt, so you'll get around to it. You know? Like,
I'm hungry for it already. So we didn't go with the same one, so that means you got something completely different than that.
So those are all pretty good, though. Let's see. I'm trying to think of some other cringe stuff.
I'm sure that there's some that I don't even know that it's like, probably some NXT talent is like trying to get over some phrase on live events or something,
I'm thinking about NXT and thinking like, I don't love some of the Chase U stuff because after a while it's Andre Chase University sized ass whooping. Because like, I don't even know why Andre Chase has to have a university.
Well, it really doesn't make any sense why that exists. Is this a university within the Performance Center?
Yeah, it's a university within the Performance Center that teaches wrestling history, maybe? I don't know. So there's that, but the one that I'm going to go with was really beat to shit throughout WrestleMania weekend, and it's had a lingering ripple effect.
Is it a 4-letter one?
No.
Oh, okay. Surprising me. I thought you were going to go with Jey Uso and Yeet.
No, oh no. We had a fun time last night. I'm gonna try to lay off the Yeet. I'm gonna try to lay off Yeet Man Jones. I do think that they have beaten Yeet into the ground. They've yeeted into the ground by doing exactly what I just did right there. Um, no, the forced push of the Paul Levesque era during WrestleMania weekend. What was it said like 25 times? And then Triple H comes out on the fucking presser and goes, I don't know, maybe it's the Lee Fitting era. I really don't want to be the sole credit taker for all of this. And then people take that shit that he's trying to say to get them to stop calling it the Paul Levesque era, and now they want to be mad every time this man's on TV. And I genuinely how much that bothers me. And I just first of all, it's stupid.
That'd be great if he was like, I don't think we should be calling this the Paul Levesque era, guys. That's not something that we should really go with. The Triple H era is so much better.
It is, though.
It is. It's shorter. Got 6 letters instead, HHHERA. There you go.
And most people know Triple H before Paul Levesque. But yeah, that's mine because they really beat it over the head. And now we're just kind of stuck in it. And people are getting mad that Triple H is, on the commercial for the Netflix Raw, which, by the way, the logo sucks. This is what I'm doing. I'm going to be mad at the logo today.
I like much better the Renaissance era.
Yeah, I think that's a great name for it. Because they are having a bit of a renaissance. I made the joke earlier tonight before I got on recording that it's like the Silver Age. And I wouldn't fucking hate that if, we can look back on it and say, yeah, that was actually kind of like a Silver Age of wrestling where, it's not the Hogan Golden era, it's not the Attitude Era, but this is the new boom, the new blooming of WWE. But yeah, that's mine. The Paul Levesque era.
So on my best, I did at one point in the year have Yeet. It got annoying though.
Yeah, you had a Yeet infection, didn't you?
Oh, that sounds terrible. I also had down in the year, and it's lost its steam a little bit. I would say actually a lot, not just a little bit. But at one point, man, at the beginning of the year, all you had to do was say, with everybody saying,
L.A. Knight.
Yeah. And he's dropped off in a lot of ways, so can't give him that.
Although I gotta give fucking Santos Escobar has done nothing this year, but he does every time he's in front of LA Knight go Escobar.
Yeah, I do like that. Some other ones that are in my honorary mentions. It's Tiffy time. I've just had a Tiffany epiphany.
I love her.
A lot of good stuff coming from her.
She's so great.
I do actually have give me a C, give me an H, give me an A, give me an S, give me an E, give me a U. What's that spell? Chase U, because it's long enough that it's obnoxious, and that tickles me.
Yeah, I can't say I relate.
I've also got the exchange of whoop that trick, what? Whoop that trick, yeah, whoop that trick,
T-isms in general, actually.
Yeah. All the Booker T-isms. You got that. You got It's About Checks and Championships. You got the Champagne Wishes and Caviar Dreams. You got just him going, Vic.
No bread.
No water. Just meat. I love that once Braun Breaker left, then he's like, I'm going to have to apply that to somebody else.
Boba Fett.
It works, My number 2, I guess I'd say. I don't know. This one's kind of tough between these two, so maybe I'll change my mind. Maybe it's just whatever. It's my fucking website. I can say I don't want to necessarily pick it. It's not even a WWE one, but say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. Clap, clap. Took everybody by storm.
That's a really long.
but it works. And then I have to give a shout out to I love you, Solo.
Let's go there for a second, because right now, the one that I'm thinking about picking is I love you so, because it's so funny.
And like when that first happened, I laughed so hard, and I had to pause the SmackDown episode and explain to Caroline, because she was like, what just happened? Like, what are you laughing at?" And I was like, "Watch this. They're all saying I acknowledge you," and Jacob Fatu either forgot his line or he just decided to ad lib an extra thing, because it's just like, "My tribal chief, I acknowledge you. I acknowledge you, my tribal chief. I love you.
I love you so much."
And I love that they've worked into it now, where it's like they did that thing before Survivor Series at the War Games match, where it's like Roman Reigns, like Pensacola, Tribal Chief University or whatever. And it's just like, I love you, Solo University or something.
No, it was I love you, Solo.
Yeah.
That might be my pick, because I genuinely, and I know it sounds funny because it's a cringe line, but it's turned into a bit for me, is nobody does it like Lonnie. So she'll do anything. Kalani Jordan, for anyone not familiar with NXT, watch NXT. It's the most fun show they have.
It really is. It's so stupid, but
she
it's
does
so
a drop
fun.
kick, and nobody drop kicks like Lonnie. She does a fucking anything. It's repeatable, and it's hysterical. Also on NXT, Ashante the Adopt is stupid. The gimmick is stupid, but it's so funny to hear him walk up to a girl and go, "Adonisly." I just think we got something here. Like, it's so funny. We didn't get a lot of shoosh and a lot of thank you. We didn't get a lot of that.
No, not as much this year.
I'll tell you one that will probably come back up for gimmick, but this is something I should have said for worst, which is Pete Dunne can't move past being Butch, and his whole "don't call me that," like, that needs to die. Let's see what else for best.
Honestly, there's not as many people with catchphrases this year. Like, a lot of people, it's not something that they carry over all that much. And you look at the roster, like, some people have like some catchphrases that I wouldn't say are necessarily good or bad. Like how pretty much any time that Otis is happy, he's just like, "Oh yeah."
Yeah.
But like, does anybody in the LWO have a catchphrase?
Carlito had a catchphrase, but then he turned on the LWO.
Yeah, then he's not a part of it anymore, and then he doesn't say it anymore. I mean, we know for sure one of his catchphrases isn't going to be, "I need to speak Chinese" or whatever.
I need to learn Chinese. I can't get. No, you don't. First of all, let's get this out of the way. It is going to be "I love you, Solo," because that's just funny. But I just thought about one that, if Callum was here, would probably go on his worst. Isn't it great to be alive in Insert City? Because I'm sure a lot of people get really mad when Punk does that. I have no idea why, but that really seems to tweak people.
Really? I don't think I've ever seen anybody complaining about that.
Because I guess I'm just more talkative to people who are like very anti-Punk because they're very pro AEW. Yeah, but
they're those.
that ruffles some feathers. Shout out to Drew McIntyre this year, who was just turning a lot of Punk's, AEW rants into gold on social media, including "Cry Us a River" after a picture with fucking Jack Perry. Yeah, there's a lot of like fun stuff, but there's not a lot of catchphrases. Like, I can't think of what Jada Parker's catchphrase is. I know she has one, but I can't think of what it is off the top of my head. Lola Vice has the good "just because I shake my ass doesn't mean I can't beat your ass," which is pretty good, actually. Like, if you're gonna talk trash, that's a good one.
Even the people that have gimmicks, like the Unholy Union, doesn't have a catchphrase. That's kind of weird.
Yeah, like the fact that Tony D'Angelo doesn't have like a "forget about it" or something.
Yeah, some Fugazi, whatever,
Yeah, like,
or at least the Adriana Rizzo should.
Adrian Rizzo she should have more speaking parts. I think we can all agree.
Yeah. It was just changes from catchphrase or slogan to add or dialect.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, then she would get the best, hands down.
There's a part of me that would work on. I'll admit it.
All right, one more thing since we're talking catchphrases. That cringe video, and this is wrestling general, but the cringe video of the Hardy Boys with that fan. Have you
Which
seen
one?
this?
I don't think so.
Where so it's a fan at a convention, and he must have told them, "Can we just go through all of the fucking catchphrases?" Because it's literally them going, "Yeet, delete, we believe in." It's like every fucking catchphrase you can think of, and it's the most obnoxious, like, this is the ninth circle of hell if you're a wrestling fan kind of video. And I just, like, wrestling fans, don't be cringe. And, like, look, I know I have my moments, but we're all working on it. Stop being cringe, wrestling fans.
Does Giovanni Vinci have a catchphrase?
He did, but then he lost to Apollo Crews in 5 seconds.
Because I'm like, I think I remember him having a really bad one.
It was a Vidi Vinci or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, screw that one. That one sucks too. I don't love you, Giovanni Vinci. A lot of them still carry over and they still kind of work, but they just lost their pizzazz. Like, Street Profits are up and we want to smoke. Yeah, it doesn't feel the same anymore. A-Town Down Under, like, they play around with some stuff. And, Carmelo Hayes has the when Melo shoots, he doesn't miss, and I am him and whatever. But yeah, you got to start winning some fucking matches, dude, and maybe the people will care more. I know that there's got to be some that I'm forgetting about, and that are like pretty obvious, like Bianca Belair's EST type things or whatever. But those are the things that stood out to me the most. If I forget about something now and then I think about it later on, you'll see retroactively. I'll add it in there. But that kind of moves a little bit into the next category, the gimmick. Best and worst of the year. Character-wise, what are we getting going on with there? I'll mention, again, the unpredictable badass Braun Breaker. Because he's not unpredictable at all.
Why are you harping on that? I haven't even heard that phrase.
They say it every week.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Badass is one thing, because he is a badass.
They specifically say it in the way where they go, the unpredictable badass. Like, they take a second.
Oh, how do you like that one? Are there any dogs in insert city?
That I don't mind. Because then we should get people to be like, woo, 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 Which, by the way, I also like, we mentioned this on the entrances, but like the Obafemi woo kind of thing that people do. And I've grown to like the Lyra Valkyria kind of thing.
I love that.
I don't know if they would constitute that kind of catchphrasey, but you could if you wanted to.
Look, crowd participation is great, except for the word what. Please remove the word
what. Oh my god,
what.
I'm just getting tired of that.
Oh my god. If I could go back in time, I'd stop Stone Cold Boston from doing 2 things. One of them is
breaking his neck.
Okay, 3 things.
So that wasn't what? Hitting Deborah?
Yes. Obviously beating his wife.
Walking out on the company?
Not so much that. I think we stop one, we stop the others. Like,
this is slowly becoming a top 10 list of things to stop Austin from doing. Yeah, so best and worst gimmick, yeah. Braun Breaker, unpredictable badass, that's on my list. You're not gonna like this one. Dante Chen is Chentertaining.
That's not a catchphrase, it's me.
No, it's under gimmick. Because for like a few weeks, they just decided to push him, and I was like, I'm not buying this shit.
It's entertaining, damn it.
It's not gonna be my pick, but
he's sports entertaining. I'm entertained every time he's on TV. Damn it, push Dante Chen. But he got a wild pop that first week. That was crazy. That was crazy. They acted like he was fucking Kenny Omega or something.
Insane. I also have down that we've mentioned these before, so it's not like it's gonna go all that crazy. Katana Chance and Kaden Carter are quote unquote party girls. You could have fooled me.
And like, I think we might have even talked about them last night,
We did.
but like, they have chemistry. They are real friends. I don't understand why this doesn't translate.
I've got down Lexis King's daddy issues.
Yeah, that's
Although
high up
now
on my
that
list.
something's happening on next week's NXT based off of the spoilers from tonight,
But he still, they didn't fix his daddy issues. I'll
it's still
spoil
weird.
that.
Yeah.
They might have caused daddy issues for someone else.
I've got Pete Dunne doesn't like being called Butch.
Yeah, that's high up on their list too.
Mm-hmm. I've got Eddie Thorpe.
You really are down on Eddie Thorpe. What did he do to you?
He took up my time with his character.
Wow. Okay.
But there are two people that I rank higher than even the Eddie Thorpe gimmick, which the Eddie Thorpe gimmick, the specific one that I'm mentioning, is the one where he's doing his little dance to the ring and he's like an EDM DJ, and it's like, oh, I'm gonna have a DJ set backstage and fight with Lexis King. It was like, why the fuck are we getting into that? Why aren't you at least playing the music for the party girls? Like, isn't that obvious, you know? But the two that I would go more for, it's a shame we can't fully go on this one, so it has to be my runner-up. But we still have an opportunity to say them, so Scripps.
Fucking Scripps. Look, as I mentioned last night when you brought him up, I'm glad he's doing better on the indies, but fuck Scripps.
Yeah. But I gotta go Giovanni Vinci. This gimmick didn't work in NXT. Why did they think that after he had that fail and then goes back to Imperium and then they job him out with Imperium and then they kick him out of Imperium and then they wait like 7 months to bring him back? Why would they bring him back with this gimmick? And then they job him out again and then he fucks off and he's losing to Apollo Crews on dark matches now. It's like, I don't root for anybody to lose their jobs, but at this point, why are you keeping him around if this is how you see him?
Yeah, that's a fair question. Okay, worst gimmick for me. No, I'm not gonna say yeet. So I think about NXT, and my mind goes to Ridge Holland. I don't know if he's my pick, but I go Ridge Holland.
Ridge Holland being like, I'm upset, but I'm not quite.
Being like, I'm retired because I can't control my rage. Just kidding, I'm joining Chase U. Just kidding, I want to take out all of Chase U. By the way, they haven't returned. Kind of worrying. None of them have returned. Thea Hale hasn't returned. I wonder if she's just going to pop up in a battle royal on the main roster somewhere.
I mean, it seems like Andre Chase might be coming down the chimney soon.
Oh, wait, look, we don't know that yet, but it is the holiday season, so who knows? Yeah, Andre Chase has gambling issues. That's also one, but better yet, hold on. I have to check something on Fightful real quick to make sure that was this year and not something lingering from last year.
What would that be? I might be able to tell you.
Hold on. I remember the headline of the article so well that the old Thea Hale is back. Oh, March 12th. I can say it. Okay, Thea Hale is like mad at Chase U for valid reasons. Valid reasons. This man threw away her best shot at the title for his gambling debts. JC Jane decides, okay, I'm going to teach you how to be a bad girl. And then Thea Hale decides she developed a crush on Riley Osborne. They decide
eventually like friend zones her.
Yeah, like they just decide, oh man, I kind of liked you too, but I think we're better as friends. And then she runs around the ring in a circle and says, the old Thea Hale is back, bitch.
And it sucks because I like Thea Hale. I actually like Chase U, but man, some of the stories this year have been really weird.
It's specifically this one because and I mean this, I know WWE has some weird shit in the past. I understand that. I'm not trying to invoke that here. Why were they obsessed with basically making Thea Hale go through puberty on TV? It's very weird. With her being like, oh my god, I don't know how to talk to boys.
Maybe they got the note that they were going to go to CW and they decided that they wanted to try to like play around with something from like Seventh Heaven or something. That was on network, wasn't it? Oh no, that must have been old school. That must have been pre-CW.
It was CW, but it was the WB.
Yeah, okay, so it's like
that turned into the CW outlet. Look, I think
showing my age. Jesus.
I mean, it's fine. I think I actually have to go with this. All the Chase U issues that did result in the group finally splitting, but not for anything reasonable. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not for the gambling thing. It's not for like, well, we screwed us over in different championships and stuff. It's just Rich Holland beats him.
Chasey Jane, infiltrated Chase U and made it JCU. It was just like,
how did they not do that?
I don't know. They seemed to like switch JC Jane real quick and just made it to where she was like, actually, Jasmine's a bad girl, and I want to go be a bad Jasmine now. It's all very weird.
And they can form their new trio of flatulence.
We're not calling it flatulence. They're too beautiful for flatulence. Okay, like they're fatal influence. They wanted fatal attraction, but then they realized there would be some legal issues there. They were fatal influence.
Should have just called themselves Toxic Attraction.
No, that's a different thing.
They should have just gone with it.
Yeah,
it's like JC Jane should just be like, yeah, I'm bringing it back.
It's funny because I realized that obviously what everybody watches is Raw and SmackDown, and I didn't even mention one from there because most of what I enjoy and watch literally is NXT. But I gotta say, yeah, the Thea Hale thing is definitely my pick. The only runner-up I would really consider would be, why is Pete Dunne obsessed with the whole book thing? Get over it. Like, you took your name back. At first I liked the Sheamus feud with the whole idea of like, you did that to me, I'm gonna fight you for it, and now he's feuding with R-Truth. Pete Dunne is better than that.
Yeah, he's definitely somebody who they need to get rid of that gimmick as soon as possible, or else he's going to be doomed. Now, on the positive side of things, though, even though people don't have a whole lot of gimmicks...
Hold on. Before we leave the worst section, do I dare go back and give us a chance to talk about the Wyatt Six?
You know... It's not great. It's not great.
Look.
No disrespect to Bray Wyatt's memory, but it's not great. It's
not about Bray Wyatt. It's not. I love Bray Wyatt. We got many fights on this podcast about Tony just screwing Bray Wyatt up for the rest of us because he was so damn determined for it to be something that didn't work out. But this Wyatt Six thing, and I'm even talking about beyond the characters, the booking of it doesn't lead me to wanting to see them more. They haven't booked Uncle Howdy in a strong singles feud. They haven't tried to make them go after any championships. They murdered people the first week and do zero follow-up.
I really think one of the biggest mistakes that they had was that they decided to go from this mysterious what's going on angle to feuding with Chad Gable.
Well, they had to go with Chad Gable because Chad Gable, they decided to make it look like he had a fucking bullet in his head.
Yeah, they just shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, they shouldn't have done any of that. Like, the idea of Bo Dallas taking on the legacy and doing all of that is great. The idea of putting all these people together because they were abandoned by their stables, great. I can even maybe forgive that they're not all the best in the ring. But when you book them like we can only care about them if they're doing spooky bullshit. And then you make sure that they're booked pretty much near the bottom of the card. Call a spade a spade. You know, Miz, Final Testament, American Made. You know, you're not putting Uncle Howdy in the ring with Seth Rollins.
Right.
Which I thought was a given. I thought he would be an immediate target. And he hasn't been. I'm still holding out hope, so they're not going to be my pick. But I did want to talk more about how concerning that whole thing has been.
Also, what is the true driving force / gimmick behind Pure Fusion Collective?
They are women. They like to fight. They're a collective. Maybe they eat a lot of fusion food. I don't know where that comes from.
Even the name, Pure Mix.
Mixed martial art. Ah?
You're trying. I'll give you credit for trying.
I mean, look, I like it. I think it works. I think it works less when you move Raw down to 2 hours, but I think it works. The problem is, and this won't change overnight or at all at this point, honestly, but like wrestling fans are conditioned to like, okay, Zoe Stark had a moment in time where she could have been something. She's not going to be. You know? Shayna Baszler should have been a thing, as scary as this is to say, 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to happen.
This point, no. She's lost too much.
Sonya Deville, same thing. 5 years ago. She was one of the characters who, during the pandemic, was on fire, and yes, she suffered a terrible tragedy. And I'm glad that, you know, she's been able to move on from that scary happening in her life. But you can't and this is another major issue. Maybe I should talk about the issues I have with Chad Gable and American Made here too. You can't constantly say, don't worry, we're going to do something for you. Don't worry, you're going to get there. Don't worry, eventually, hey, maybe, kind of, sort of, possibly, you'll do something. Fans move on.
Mm-hmm.
People move on. The wrestlers move on.
Gimmicks grow stale. People get tired of watching somebody lose.
You know, like, and here, look, I will actually transition to Chad Gable here. Was almost one of the most improved. Was almost like, oh my God, they're finally, Triple H is going to hotshot him because he understands, like, you know, you got to move quickly here because he's already been in the company for 10 years. This man has been on TV between NXT and the main roster. You got to move quickly here. And they just decide, actually, we're going to use you to put over the Wyatts. And we don't want you to be the one to beat Sammy. So you're going to be overlooked again. And now it's like, people don't believe in Chad Gable. People don't think it's going to happen for him, despite the fact that he's exactly where we all wanted him to be. He's got the Creeds and Ivy Nile. It's a great fit. But people don't want to wait around forever.
And you lose a little bit of momentum, you are not guaranteed to earn it back.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, look at the past in the careers of Drew McIntyre. That first go around, lost that momentum. He almost didn't get it back. You know, look at Cody. Not everybody gets the chance to rebuild, and I think that's a huge issue I have. Is you take these people for granted, and I know I've gotten way off topic, but like it all blends together when you think about the issues with the Wyatt Six. You think about the issues with Pure Fusion Collective and the American Made, it's all the same issue of you should have done something with these people a long time ago. And now the consolation prize isn't enough. And I'll let you move on to best. But I'm glad I got that off my chest.
I do have a couple different people down for best. I still find R-Truth funny. He's not going to be my winner, but I still do find a lot of the things he says and does pretty funny. Not the Butch thing as much.
I like him better when they're not. Look, when he was on TV a lot this year. I like him better sporadically, and when we're not doing like awesome truth nostalgia.
Yeah, I can see that. I want to give a shout out to Tiffany Stratton just in general.
Yeah.
Tony D'Angelo. I still dig the gimmick pretty much.
Every time he's eating a plate of pasta, I just like I love that he has that. You know, that he's like genuinely just doing this Italian gimmick, and I think it's very fun.
And pasta's great.
Pasta's fucking tremendous.
I don't think anybody in the world would really, outside of like the Stan accounts and stuff, would really put this down on their list, but I like the idea that Tatum Paxley just wants friends to play with.
I love NXT. Tatum Paxley is a great example of that because it's a through line. She just wanted a friend. She's got friends now. Now she's with the alt chicks.
It's one of the steadiest characters, which is crazy because it's like, who did she feud with? She feuded with people because she wanted to be Lyra's friend. Then she feuded with Lyra. Then she seemed like she was going to get a friend in Wendy Chu, but then Wendy Chu turned on her, so she's feuding with her. Then she gets bullied around a little bit, and now who's she with? People that backed her up and are like, it's kind of an implication that maybe she might have some kind of psychic powers with her dolls because she had the Gigi Dolan doll before Gigi Dolan helped her, and then she had the Shotzi doll before Shotzi helped her.
I've missed this. I thought she was getting the dolls afterwards.
No.
She's like, because she played with the Kalani doll, and then like Kalani didn't want to play with her, so I thought maybe, you know, she didn't have those powers. She's figured it out. That's great.
Since nobody does it like Lonnie.
That's true. Nobody does it like Lonnie. Nobody fights off voodoo like Lonnie.
Yeah. You know? But that is one of those things that I'm like, this is silly, but I like it.
You know what? It's silly, but it takes you somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
It's like you can build stories around it, and she can be a character that is like that you like. You know, that
and
it's
not
better
than Braun Breaker goes fishing.
Oh God, yeah, that's true. I forgot about that whole thing. I have Joe Hendry on this list. Just the way that Joe Hendry's been this year, you know, he's been a lot of fun as a guest star for NXT. I've got Chelsea Green on this list.
Yeah.
I don't know what you would classify her gimmick, because it's not really like
she's
character, but
the
it's
gimmick
like,
was always meant to be, and she's done it perfectly. She's a wrestling Karen.
Yeah, pretty much.
And she's done that perfectly, and I'm glad she's getting her flowers.
I still think, though, I gotta go with Dominic Mysterio.
I think he might be the best character across the brands. I might have to agree with you, actually, because
it's a chicken tender slut.
like, realistic. But here's the crazy thing, and you're a little older. You're married. And I'm even older than he is, but like, that's like a real thing.
Oh, 100%.
I
know. I can tell you specific people that I know that are just exactly like that.
And it's not just the chicken tender slut
Sam.
thing. Everything that Dom does is like a real thing that, like, at least according to like hyper internet culture and meme culture, is something that seems to be very pervasive right now. He had a goth girl that he called mommy. Left her for basically the wrestling version of Sabrina Carpenter. And her whole deal is, you know, Why call her mommy when I can call you daddy? And even said as much like, hey, why wouldn't I leave you for Liv? She hypes me up and she gives me all the
She gives
chicken
me
tendies
tendies.
and she lets me play video games. As much as it's made to be like, what a fucking little loser he is, that's
That's the point.
that's the culture too. Like it's actually a rare instance of WWE being right there with what's popular right now.
And being able to like translate that in a way that kids and like teenagers and young adults or whatever can see themselves in, instead of saying that they get around to that 5 years too late. Like Vince sees Pirates of the Caribbean when they're on the 4th movie or something, and then he's like, we should have a pirate character. And that's big right now, right? Kids like that Matlock, don't they? Isn't Matlock back now? Isn't that like the Kathy Bates show?
Matlock is back. It is Kathy Bates. Yeah.
And there you go. He'll be like, well, goddamn, now it's about time.
We gotta fucking have Matlock. Tell me about this Bazinga.
Oh god, yeah. Yeah, Dominic Mysterio is just so much fucking fun, though.
I would go a step further and say, if I can put them all, and I might they might even get the nod for best storyline, because you know what? As much as I know that people are over it, they're really. It does strike a chord with the actual culture, like I said. There's also shouts out to like Kevin Owens is just tired of the bloodline. I think that has been a really fun gimmick where he's just like, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not fighting these people anymore. And that's like an extension of at the end of last year, he was doing this whole I just call out tropes.
Yeah, I like that he does that.
And
he's very like Deadpoolish almost, with like the meta commentary of like, you know, at this point we're all gonna argue with each other, then you're gonna come down to the ring, and then we're gonna start fighting, and then it's gonna turn into a tag team match. So why don't we just go ahead and have that tag team match right now? And like, yeah,
and I think that that's a great gimmick, and he's kind of carried it over to this bloodline thing where he's just like, I don't want to fucking do this anymore. It's been 4 years. I want to do anything else.
Fuck you, Cody. And then
you know, but so I think that's high up on my list. I would also make a strong argument that they were building up a nice character with Randy, where Randy would be like, Cody, man, I'm here for you. And every time he's looking at that belt, and no one caught it. Well, at least like in story, no one caught it. But Randy wouldn't look at Cody without looking at that title. You know?
I still want that to be the WrestleMania match.
I'm open to that being the WrestleMania match. And one that we haven't talked about yet that I'm surprised, and maybe it's just because you didn't like it, but Final Boss.
I have that down on a different thing.
I would be remiss, and I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit more, but be remiss if I didn't say, man, as annoying as it is, when they let those Attitude Era guys do whatever the fuck they want, it's also super fun when they let those Attitude Era guys do whatever the fuck they want. So that's definitely up there for me.
That is something that I'll put a pin in for a different part, but that part's coming up in a little bit. What's that?
Dom for sure.
Yeah. So let's go over to everybody's favorite thing on the website, the heel and face turns.
Yes!
I still do not understand why this is like a resource that everybody completely marks out over, but
heel and face turns, yeah!
The amount of times that I get my emails of like, hey, somebody looked a little cross-eyed, does that mean that they're a babyface now or something? Like,
no, you're just looking at Shawn Michaels.
This is a self-explanatory thing. It could be best heel or face turn. It could be worst heel or face turn. It's not gonna. We're not gonna have a separate category of like best heel turn, worst heel turn, best face turn. Whatever.
I love the fucking heel and face turns. Grr.
I've got a couple written down here, and of course, if you want to find the list of everything that I tracked this year, go to the heel and face turn list. I'm pretty sure if you just Google heel and face turn WWE, it'll probably be the first thing that pops up. But here are the ones that I had down for worst. Bayley turns face when overhearing that Damage Control was making fun of her in February. It took all that time. And the way that they made that whole turn is they're just like...
but she knew. She was onto it.
But they had to do that stupid backstage thing of it just being like, hey, and by the way, now that she's got the Royal Rumble win, fuck her, right? Yeah.
No, because the whole deal was like... She knew. Remember, they would clam up every time she walked into a room, and she even said in the promo, "No, I picked that up because you've been talking about me behind my back for months. I picked up Japanese because of this."
I hated that whole thing, and I don't think it ended up being all that great in any capacity whatsoever. Of like, I didn't like Bayley's title reign. I still think the Damage Control is kind of meh in some ways. She's not even a part of it anymore. She's doing her own meh thing.
Damn.
I've got down Braun Breaker can't decide.
He's unpredictable.
What an unpredictable badass. Candice LeRae bullies Maxine Dupree over her dead brother.
I forgot that was this year.
Yeah, that was in March. She's just like this bubbly, cute little pixie, and then she's like, by the way, your brother's dead. Fuck you. It's like, Jesus, okay, we're going straight to that. And then it really didn't resonate all that well, so it was just kind of for nothing. I've got Carlito turns heel in a reveal after WrestleMania.
Yeah,
Why was that a 2-on-2 that included Andrade and Dominic? Instead of just doing the 5-on-5 or whatever it was.
Or just do Ray versus... You didn't want to do anything else but Ray versus Dom. Just do Ray versus Dom. You're going to do it again next year anyway.
I wonder if they will. I wonder if they will.
They're going to do it next year. Dom's hair is getting really long.
And he's got that stupid mustache.
Which
is great. Yeah. I also have Lola Vice just randomly starts to be a babyface around July. She didn't change her character at all. They were just like, you're fighting heels now. I didn't like that.
She shook her ass.
Yeah, that was a babyface thing from the very beginning, though. And then I think the one that I'm going to go with, and we already mentioned this earlier, Ridge Holland's feud with Shawn Spears takes a turn where he retires, and then he stops being retired, and then he slams the hand of, was it Cruz del Toro or was it Joaquin Wilde? It was one of those two.
One of them, because he's angry.
And then he's suddenly a face with Chase U, and then he turns heel again. All of that just to get to that point, that was dumb.
By the way, if you didn't know, this beautiful segment, the best part of the website, the heel and face turns, there's also an index.
There's an index because everybody bothered me to have. Can you have a running list of everything?
Like if you're like a fucking Excel nerd, it's like that but for fucking heel and face turns. This is the kind of shit. I mean, I tell you, folks, it's come Tuesday, and I'm getting there because these heel and face turns, fucking oof.
Who do you have for your worst?
For the worst, first of all, Miz turning on Truth. But I'm pretty sure, did Miz enter the year as a babyface? He was babyface.
Yeah, with awesome, the whole Awesome Truth thing.
Oh, yeah. So that started in last year. That wasn't just like something they threw together.
I think it was last year.
Started this year. Interesting. So there's also, I'm seeing here, the Wolf Dogs, which I thought that was actually one of the better things Baron Corbin did in the company overall before getting fired, unfortunately.
Yeah. I'll talk about that when it comes to one of my favorite tag teams of the year. Spoiler alert, they're one of my favorite tag teams of the year. And that basically spoils exactly what it is when I said that.
You got to give some thought to Roman Reigns turns babyface without actually turning babyface because he doesn't fucking apologize for fucking anything. And the storyline speaks to the toxicity of familial relationships because they haven't actually apologized, but here we go. Like, let's see. Oh, Wyatt Dick should be down here as a terrible babyface because they kill people.
Well, you could have them down as your worst babyface of the year too,
Yeah,
because they didn't. I don't know if they really turned babyface. You know what I mean?
There's also Josh Briggs turning heel, which was weird because they split him and Briggs and Jensen, and then he was heel towards Jensen, and then he was like, "Hey man, I love you and I just care about you," which was super strange. Jensen's also a great pick for this because he was like an alcoholic for a minute, and they just sort of dropped that out of nowhere. I don't know if maybe they felt like it was too much. Here's another good one for NXT. Wendy Chu overslept.
Oh, see, I have that as one of my favorites.
Did I
Wendy Chu wakes up on the wrong side of the bed and becomes a nightmare. That's fucking great.
I did call her NXT's residency paralysis demon. I think that should have picked up steam. It didn't. Makes me sad.
They have so much that they could have milked with that, like winning matches with the sleeper hold and being like, okay, we're not going to have the traditional old pillow fights, so let's going to do a pillow fight in that way, and having like like she could like punch somebody and they can call it the alarm clock. Like it just clocked her in the face, like.
Oh yeah, no, I wanted her to do a running knee and call it sleep apnea. This is why we
see. That's why it's on the list of one of the best heel turns of the year.
But this is why we should be doing actual creative work. Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits are just back. I'm reading verbatim off of what Tony has written on the heel and face turns list here. Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits are just back to being baby faces, it seems. This might have been an internal thing, but WWE has been flippant with them. Yeah, they kind of were.
Yeah, they didn't want to commit to that.
They didn't want to commit to them being heels.
Didn't really help out anybody.
Ian Candice just randomly turning heel.
Yeah,
I thought it was terrible. I'm going through all of these because so many of these are bad. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of bad turns. But overall, I'm gonna say for worst turn, just because they gave it no reasoning whatsoever. Why exactly are Damage Control right now? Why are they face? Did they turn face in any way? Wasn't
no, they just started
psychotic break, and there's like things need to change, and then it's like, okay, well, fuck.
So on the list I've got written down, November 11th, Io Sky has been firmly positioned as a babyface for War Games, implying the rest of Damage Control will be in that alignment going forward. They basically just were like, we need them in the match.
So that's a good one, but upon really thinking about it, I'm going Roman Reigns is not a babyface, but is a babyface, and he's the biggest star, and I think that should be addressed.
Then on the positive side of that, we mentioned the Wendy Chu thing. That's definitely one of my more favorite ones. We've got, I think that Wesley's turn on Zachary Wentz and Trey Miguel was one of my more favorite ones.
Shocking.
Did not see that one coming, at least in that fashion. I've got Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa turn heel on Motor City Machine Guns. That is
we're going to talk a lot.
A huge option for the win on that one. I think it's either going to be that one or the New Day turning. So it's one of those two for me, but I also want to throw out Kevin Owens attacks Cody Rhodes in the parking lot.
That was a great turn.
And Tatum Paxley wants friends and heel and face at various points to tell that story. And I also want to throw out The Rock becomes final boss.
Yeah. So for me, The Rock becomes final boss is one of my options. New Day is definitely one of my options because, we can really get into how crazy that was. But also, look, Dominic Mysterio turned super mega heel.
He went from heel to extra heel, yeah.
I think that should be discussed a little bit. Like, he turned even more heel.
His further heel turn made somebody a babyface.
I think that's definitely worth thinking about, but gun to my head, maybe it's recency bias. That New Day segment with Big E, I mentioned this when we talked about it in the hot tags a couple weeks ago, but that felt to me like I was watching Taker lose at Mania. I was genuinely like, what am I seeing right now? And I'm already pissed because they seem to be doing the annoying thing where they milk it too much. We haven't gotten any forward progression or regression. We're just getting like, hey, we're all still mad he did that thing. And they're insisting, at least in outside interviews, because they can actually get a word in edgewise, that they did nothing wrong. They're like, we didn't beat him up. We're mad at our friend. We're mad at him. We haven't done anything wrong.
He got Rey Mysterio being like, you can't be in the locker room. And you remind me of my son, Dom.
He does talk like that. Yeah, I might go with the New Day because it was just like, it was so shocking.
I did not see that coming. That was just like, I went into that segment being like, oh, cool. Maybe Big E is going to return. Maybe he's going to return in the ring. Maybe he's just going to be a manager. Maybe he's just going to show up for this to be like, hey, you guys got to get your shit together, and that's going to be it. But maybe they are just going to split up. And then eventually, Big E is going to be like, I'm going to step in and do that, like... Maybe we'll get like Kofi versus Xavier with Big E as a special guest referee at some point or whatever like that. Like I went into it with a lot of expectations and none of them were. They're going to tell Big E, dude, why did you get your neck broken?
Right. Like if you loved us, your neck would have healed. And that's a step too far. But I did like so many elements of that, including a very logical, why did you wait until this big moment in front of the world to come back when we've been fighting for it's almost like they snapped out of it in that moment where they're like, wait, we've been fighting for how long? But now we're united because fuck you. Like, what? You can't just do that to us. You abandoned us. He's like, my neck was broke. I couldn't do anything. It is super petty when you ever meet someone and they're cool with you and then they find a new girlfriend and suddenly they stop being cool with you. That's basically what they did to Big E, where they're just like, you met a new girlfriend and you fucking forgot about us. Oh, by the way,
go back to your desk job.
Me, Yim's sister, played that perfectly on Twitter.
That's wild to me that's me, Yim's sister. I didn't know that until you mentioned it the other day.
It's super cool, and I gotta.
Okay, weren't you supposed to be in a relationship with Natty's sister?
Jesus,
that's old school reference there.
I'm gonna say this. I'm hesitant about the future of this turn, but for now, I think for the moment itself, I think that has to be my turn of the year.
It's the one that I have as my top one, yeah. Because there are, like we said, like DIY's turn on Motor City Machine Guns. That was pretty good. I liked how they did the Kevin Owens attacking Cody Rhodes thing as like this bonus thing that I didn't see coming the way that it was. Rock becoming Final Boss helped save that angle.
Talk about unexpected turns.
I mean, everything with the beginning of that was pretty unexpected.
It was wild.
And we're going to talk about one of those moments for sure. We get to one of these other categories, but before we have that, we have title reign. Self-explanatory. Now, I if you check out the AEW awards, I said I don't even know if I can pick because all those title reigns were very like, meh. They just were a title reign.
Same, yeah.
I have a lot written down here, but I also have a lot written down as in like I don't really know what I would pick for these either. But I do have at least more options. So I wrote down the worst categories. Stop me if you pick this as yours. All of the speed championships because the belt means nothing.
No, I'm not doing that.
It's kind of a cop-out answer, but it's like, oh my god, you guys can't even carry the belt.
Answer.
You can't even like carry the belt on TV. That's stupid. I got Awesome Truth for the tag team titles.
That's high up there for me.
Bayley's WWE Women's Championship run.
It was lackluster, but as we go down this list, many of them were.
Braun Breaker's first Intercontinental title run when he just dropped it right away.
Nah, I like short title runs.
I didn't like that when it came to Braun Breaker. Other people could have that. Breaker is somebody that I was like, no, you need to build this guy. It was unpredictable, though. I'll give them that. It just wasn't badass. Same when it comes to Chase U's tag team title reign. They win it, they lose it in like 7 days or something. So that's a shit title reign. Technically speaking, the same can be applied to Jey Uso for the Intercontinental title. He dropped that almost immediately. Same can be applied to Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight Championship. He immediately loses it. But I like that they did that because that furthered his character. So it's like I can't constitute that the worst because I like where the direction was for that. But then I also have written down here all of the United States Championships run this year. It was Logan Paul, then LA Knight, now Shinsuke Nakamura. Logan Paul barely defended the title. LA Knight, I think it kind of hurt him to be United States champion, which was kind of strange. And Shinsuke, after winning this title, I'm getting nervous that they're doing the same thing that they've done 3 or 4 other times with Shinsuke, which is like they give him an Intercontinental or United States title, and then they're like, yeah, can you just not be on TV for like more than once a month?
And then you'll defend it and lose it.
So I'm getting nervous about that. I don't know which one of those I would pick, but those were in the running for my worst.
Let me tell you something. I'm looking at the wonderful Smark Out Moment WWE title reigns 2024 list. And I gotta tell you,
the handy dandy list there.
This 2024 Women's Tag Team Championship list is brutal.
Katana Chance, Kaden Carter, they're party girls.
I didn't even know they were champions.
Kabuki Warriors beat them pretty early in the year. I forget exactly when. And then they drop it to Bianca and Jade, who drop it momentarily to the Unholy Union, who win it back. And then now...
That was a really cool moment.
It seems like it's Bianca and Naomi who are the champions.
For the time being.
Yeah.
That's not my pick. I just wanted to point out that this looks terrible. That it's like... I mentioned this when they announced the women's IC in the US that I wouldn't be surprised if they just got rid of the women's tag titles at some point next year.
I could see it happening.
I
don't think that they're going to because I think they're going to be afraid that if they get rid of it, that it's going to be like
backlash.
Oh, like no, maybe a different pay-per-view.
Exactly.
No, but I think that they're going to keep it around just enough so that they could say like, well, we could give that to Pure Fusion Collective or something.
And it'll be like, oh, well, why can't women have single world title, mid-card title, and tag team titles?
And people would go, you got rid of 2 belts just to make 2 new belts and split them up as singles and whatever.
But okay, worst title reigns. A lot of them are lackluster. That's the issue. So many of them are lackluster. So I think I need to just say Women's United States Champion Chelsea.
Hey, she's the longest reigning United States champion in the women's division.
Fightful did an article on that real quick, didn't they? Or I don't know why I said that like I don't work there. Yeah, I don't know. Awesome Truth is pretty fucking terrible. But at the same time, Becky Lynch holding the women's world title when you know she was just meant to go away is another thing I think about because like she was just meant to go away. uh, let's see. Let's see. Trick Williams' first run as NXT champion, not great. I thought Becky Lynch was the NXT champion this year. I was gonna maybe give that to her.
Trick at least did beat Ilya.
It's
It's getting worse and worse.
So
I bet if I went back and watched that, he just goes Dragunov.
Yeah,
And it's just at this point.
you know, like it's one of my favorite bits at this point. But honestly, for me, it's either Logan Paul as U.S. champion or Awesome Truth tag team champions. Logan Paul, I've said this a lot recently, and I'll say it again. I don't like that WB can only tell two stories. You're either a nothing champion who never defends, but you have name value and you're elevating the title. So I'm better than you and I don't need to wrestle all the time. Or you have an LA Knight run that's just, I want to be a fighting champion, so I'm going to have a bunch of meaningless matches. I'm so tired of that pattern. I want it to stop next year. I want every title reign. I'm not saying they all have to be the greatest thing ever, because let's tell the truth here. None of Stone Cold Steve Austin's runs are good. But they all meant something because he was Stone Cold Steve Austin. You know, and I would rather be in that era than in the era of I'm just going to have a bunch of meaningless matches. For that matter, I'm not going to ever say Cody worst anything this year, but the argument could be made. The same blasé argument you want to make about Bayley, I'm sure, can be made for Cody. What has Cody actually done since beating Roman Reigns?
Now, I do have Cody down on my best title reigns.
Yeah, because you like the title win, and
I
it's
like
nice
the win.
that he's the champion.
I like that he is overall booked pretty strong and all, but I don't think I'm going to actually go with Cody as the winner for that one.
No, I'm not going with Cody either. Who are you going with?
The three other people that I have down on my list are Damian Priest for the World Heavyweight title. Surprisingly pretty good. Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. It was
as an overall, I think might need to be.
And then Obafemi, North American Championship. Dude broke a record.
Ooh. I love Obafemi. I would also say, because you can say it, Gunther, he's still Intercontinental Champion. You can still say, I loved his reign up until the very end.
That is one of the things that's hard when it comes to title reigns, is when they carry over from one year to the other. It's like, well, how much do you give credibility for that year, or how much do you cut off that, or you know what I mean? Like, so there's always like a little bit of leeway for that. I still don't think that Sami Zayn should have been the one that beat Gunther.
No, it should have been Gable.
It either should have been Gable or it should have been Braun Breaker. Man, imagine how Braun Breaker would have been made at that point.
Yeah, but if it was going to be Breaker, it would have had to have been like, oh, let's wait till next year's Mania, and I'm good on that. Like,
tell you what would be unpredictable.
You know what? Hold
is
on
if Sami Zayn would have lost that match and then Braun Breaker comes out and beats him.
Hold on, and I'm going to go back here, and I apologize everyone for my scatterbrain. I'm all over the place tonight, but I figured out my worst title reign, and I'm sorry I didn't say this sooner. The fucking Bloodline for the WWE Tag Team titles.
Oh, that was pretty bad, yeah.
Tagaloa, he fucking sucks. He sucks. Okay. So
hey, he earned that championship by standing there.
I love you. So, yeah, but that's my worst because it was just awful, and it was just there so that they could be holding belts. And I'm glad I was able to figure that out because I didn't want to lean on the maybe it's this, maybe it's that. But going back to best, look, it really comes down to, for me, either the sentimental pick of me saying the Mercy Machine Guns, just because it feels surreal that it happened, or Liv Morgan she fucking carried that belt. She really did. She really carried Raw in some ways, and you can argue as to whether or not it's good programming. I'm not arguing that right now. I'm arguing she's a standard bearer of the show.
Like, if I were to rank based off of like your matches and the quality of your feuds and all that stuff, I don't think I could pick Liv Morgan. But at the same time, if you go with like the numbers game, it's hard to argue against Liv Morgan.
Because if I was gonna rank it like matches and feuds and stuff, I would have maybe put Cody at the top, and it's hard to put him there. It's just, well, you always felt more important. But overall, I think in terms of carrying a brand, in terms of importance, and in terms of sheer numbers, I'm gonna go with my champion of the year, Roxanne Perez.
Man, I
She
wish that I could go with Roxanne, but that heel character, I just hate it.
she's carried the NXT title, and she's been champion for a while now. And she's done everything there is to do in NXT. Legitimately, at this point, there's no reason for her to be in NXT beyond January 7th. Zero reason.
So that's the best and the worst title reigns. I'm going to switch over to another thing here. Best and worst TV show or program of some kind. And this is getting, honestly, to a point where this might not carry over into next year. There's been so many different iterations of like, we used to have like this best in-ring show and the best talk show and the best whatever, and we kept like scaling it down, and now it's like I can't even keep track of what the shows are, because like, did they do playback at all this year on YouTube? Did they canceled, it seems, the Ultimate Show, which I used to give that all the time?
They still do that.
They do? I thought that they haven't done that since Matt Camp left.
No, they still do the Ultimate stuff.
Are they just like doing it maybe like they're dropping it just on YouTube maybe?
Yeah, I would think so. And maybe the reason you don't see it is because YouTube does a thing now where it's in the live section.
Oh, that might be why. Yeah. Well, that was one of my possible best. Now, Matt Camp not being on there sucks, because Matt Camp was part of the reason why that was so good.
He's doing bits and bobs with AEW.
Bits and bobs?
Yeah, bits and
but that I pretty much have down. I'll be quick on this one. The worst, it's either main event or NXT Level Up.
It's Waluha.
Does that still exist too?
It probably exists somewhere.
Fuck me. Why do they have these shows? Worst, I would say main event or NXT Level Up, or if you go with any of those extraneous recap shows, after Burn or whatever. Raw, was it the Raw Talk or SmackDown Lowdown or whatever? Like all that stuff is
my
pointless.
argument for these not carrying over next year has to be, you use the same cop-out answer every year. It's always the worst or the recap shows or main event, because no one cares about main event, and we all know no one cares about main event.
I got confirmation this year from somebody working on the show that nobody cares about main event.
That is one of my favorite things of the year.
It's true though, like that's there. But then on the positive side, Raw has been a lot better this year overall.
2-hour Raw, baby. That is something special. That's going away. We can confirm that now. Now that they've announced it, but if you look at that January 6th card, there's no way that motherfucker's 2 hours.
No way. So I'd give a nod to Raw. I would mention the Ultimate Show again, and then we've talked about it before. We've talked about it ad nauseum. NXT is the most fun show.
NXT is definitely the most fun show. That's my pick. Raw being a number 2 at this point, because really, especially once they knocked it down to 2 hours, you really felt the okay. SmackDown's kind of a drag sometimes, you know.
It's weird, isn't it?
Oh, it's gonna get worse when you realize that Raw's the A show again because of Netflix. So SmackDown's probably about to get a hell of a lot worse.
This whole transfer window thing is going to be very interesting if they end up being like, hey, Cody and Roman and all these people are on SmackDown and then are on Raw, and then SmackDown's got, I don't know.
They're going to end up looking at Gunther and going, SmackDown's yours.
They might have to just move him over just for the sake of that. Because if they move Cody and Roman, I mean, whew, you have to have Gunther. They
might even try to like send over a Seth to be like, all right, SmackDown's going to be the banger match show again, and Raw's going to be the crazy story show again. But yeah, it's NXT.
There goes Monday Night Rollins.
NXT's the most fun show of the week. I laugh every time. I love these characters. I get so into the stupid bullshit they do.
It's NXT's so dumb. Great. And I was even talking to somebody that, I've said this before on the podcast, like some guys that work at the building are pro wrestling fans and stuff, and they were like, they don't really want to watch NXT because they think that it's so silly, but at the same time you could see that a little twinkle in their eye that they're like, that's kind of fun, and it's like, you can admit that it's silly and fun, like it can be both at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know why people want to be like so down on NXT. Shut the fuck up. Like, who cares?
It's wrestling. It's all dumb.
Yeah, it's all dumb. It's all dumb. None of this is like top tier acting. You know? By the way, similar thing to people who get their panties in a bunch whenever WWE does these like cinematic-esque promos with Roman. Relax.
What was the name of that Roku show?
The fucking I'm drawing a complete. I wanted to say Next in Line, but I don't think it's that.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, so like I'm sure that like some of those things suck.
Maybe or maybe they're great.
If they're great, I think I'd hear about it. You know,
WWE Next Gen. Well, it's on fucking Roku. You would have heard about it if it was on YouTube. It's on fucking Roku.
I'm curious to see what happens with this Let's Fucking Go show.
They had a what was it? A Marvel versus DC Slugfest on Roku. Even I didn't watch that.
Yeah, I remember writing that down. It's like, oh, I should check that out. And that was like 9.5 months ago or something.
Like so I'm looking at this WWE Next Gen thing now. These are hour-long shows, Tony. These are 8-hour-long episodes.
And what have we gotten out of it?
No one knows.
That BJ Ray guy popped up twice to get his ass kicked on backstage segments of NXT.
But no one even knows, because what if, like, I don't know, what if one of the latest tag team people is on this thing and we're just not aware of it because we didn't watch the show?
It's crazy that in 2024 we have less transparency than we did before. I miss when they used to just announce shit, you know. When was the last time we got a Future Endeavors thing on the website?
Yeah, I hate those.
Drives me crazy.
People having to go through Sean Ross' app to find out if they're fired. Like, what the fuck?
Let's switch over to another version of that of some kind, you know, best and worst TV shows. Let's go to the best and the worst pay-per-view, premium live event, special event. Special event meaning like something like Saturday Night's Main Event, or like the Heat Wave version of NXT TV show, or Great American Bash, or different things like that, where they like, obviously if you go on smarkoutoutmoment.com, of course, a handy dandy list of everything, you got things like WWE Day 1 edition of Raw, which, by the way, I really liked that they did Day 1 Raw, NXT New Year's Evil, and SmackDown New Year's Revolution. That was so nice that they did all three as like beginning of the year things.
That was really good.
And we're not getting that this year, it seems. So,
well, we're getting New Year's Rev, we're getting New Year's Evil, we're getting Netflix Raw, and then SmackDown. Shut up.
The Netflix Raw thing should be like Day 1, because it's like the Day 1 of being on Raw
You could
on
probably get away
Netflix.
with saying it's the day one of being on Netflix.
Mm-hmm. And then SmackDown New Year's Revolution. Do that again. Yeah, the logo made up and everything.
They might just not have announced it yet.
Maybe. But any of those kind of things, whether you constitute like the Roadblock episode of NXT, that's like a special event. Even the Hall of Fame is another one. You could call the Slammy Awards one of those. You could say the draft episode. That's where this is all like, best and worst on those fronts. So it's always hard for me to keep track of these things throughout the year because I don't give any kind of like a grading to this. So I ended up writing down under the worst, I wrote Money in the Bank, ? Crown Jewel, ? Bad Blood except Hell in a Cell, Halloween Havoc, King and Queen of the Ring, Clash at the Castle. Fuck, I have no idea.
I mean, if you want to go with special episodes, you could say Raw in Riyadh was technically a special episode on November 4th. Maybe. But now there's nothing egregious about that. I would say for worst, man, there's a strong argument to be made that day one had that Jinder versus Seth thing, and Seth got all banged up. So there's an argument to be made for that.
Oh, you know what just dawned on me? They haven't announced Tribute to the Troops.
Oh yeah, I guess they're just not doing it.
That's crazy.
Everything's taped.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Boy, it really makes you think. Who was really leading that charge for that tribute to the troops? I wonder, was his name Vince McMahon? No, worst special event or pay-per-view. I remember not being able to like give two fucks about Chamber. And that was partially because of the Australian time zone thing. That was partially because it was just like, again, it was like Rhea versus Nia. Rhea's not losing.
Right. Oh, you know what? I have to give it to the Slammy Awards.
When were the Slammy Awards?
They were April 7th at the Pennsylvania Convention Center. And that was when they had all those technical difficulties. And it was
don't
like,
remember this.
Oh, you didn't see that? Or you don't remember it, at least. They ran into so many technical difficulties for that. And it was like Big E was like waiting for the cue to come up and everything. And they were like making fun of how bad of a show it was during the show.
That's awesome. So April 7th was a Sunday. It was probably WrestleMania Sunday, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So maybe the reason I didn't see that is because there's probably like 10 other shows. Remember, that's the time that wrestling, everybody wants to do a fucking show, May Sunday. But that's crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Chamber because it was. I think that might have even been the event where Callum tapped out completely. And just like, I'm not doing these pay-per-views with these freaking ads. So I think that definitely deserves a nod.
Was it that or was it the one after Mania?
I'm almost certain it was the Chamber.
What was the one after Mania? Backlash. In France.
Oh, by the way, I hate that trend.
Oh yeah, having it's like, Backlash France.
Backlash France. Clash at the Castle, Scotland.
Bash in Berlin gets their own separate one.
At least Bash in Berlin is like, okay, fine. Sure, it's in Berlin.
Then what comes the best? I mean, it's WrestleMania as a whole.
Yeah, I was gonna say, okay, so this is a two-parter for me. This is either WrestleMania as a whole, or I really like Saturday Night's Main Event. And I'm gonna take the chance for a minute to just gush about how much I loved that show. I thought it was super fun. I thought the matches were quick, but they were also hard hitting and creative still. I enjoyed the Winged Eagle. I hope that comes back. I hope that just stays, quite frankly. I hope they just change their mind. They won't, but I can hope. Yeah, but it's WrestleMania. This year's WrestleMania was really good. I talked about earlier how I didn't like the Paul Levesque era framing, but there's a reason why they were obsessed with it, because it just felt like what a fucking breath of fresh air.
And
Everything
after
delivered.
last year, when it was like, wow, night 1 of WrestleMania is really good. Can't wait to see what night 2 of WrestleMania is. And then you wake up WrestleMania 2 morning and it's like, Vince McMahon's got this dumbass mustache and he sold the company. And then WrestleMania ends with Cody losing. And then you're like, what happened to Mania? For Mania 40 this year to be like, no, we're going to have the people win that you want to win. And we're going to have this great main event. And it's going to seem
Good
like
things are good.
we're
Don't
back.
worry about
And
it. Like,
yeah.
yeah, it's Mania.
Yeah. Not the most surprising one on this list to go in that direction. But, you know what's the most shocking moment? Well, that's the next category that we're going to get into.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, it's surprised here. This
It's
is
unpredictable.
this is the one thing. It's Braun Breaker. This is the one thing that we don't have a best and the worst for, because it's not something you can really split up in that way. So this is just a, it could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. What's the biggest surprise that you had this entire year? And I've got a couple written down here. Ethan Page jumps Trick Williams from behind to make his debut.
Mm-hmm.
That was very surprising for me. Jordan Grace fights Roxanne Perez at the NXT Battleground and when she appeared at the Royal Rumble.
That's very fair.
Damian Priest cashes in Money in the Bank at WrestleMania. Wins the title in that fashion.
That was less surprising, but I still think great moment.
I gotta go though with, this is how I had written down. Vince McMahon's trafficking scandal happens on the same week as Raw announced for Netflix, and The Rock joins the TKO board of directors all at the same time.
Oh my God. So
it's just like, hey, Vince is doing this sex trafficking thing. By the way, Raw's going to go to Netflix. By the way, The Rock is on the TKO. It's like, whoa, can you fucking relax for a moment?
So, all right, look, I'll get back to it in another category, I'm sure. I was going to say John Cena's retirement announcement, but you just jogged my memory, and yeah, that was a lot. And I'll go a step further. Rock joins TKO board. They announced Netflix. Everybody's excited. And then was the day before the Royal Rumble. Here's all this Vince stuff, and we're putting a name and face to the woman who, accused him. And now TKO is just straight up like, he's gone and he's not coming back. Like it turned bleak. And the reason it turned bleak is because people were out promoting and celebrating the Rumble and were legitimately blindsided. Like wrestlers, and even I can't imagine Triple H was that much blindsided, but I can imagine that he didn't think it was coming Rumble. You know what I mean? I mean, and it even led to that horrible press conference with him where he was like, listen, I haven't read the thing yet. And they're like, he's your father-in-law. You haven't read this thing accusing him and your company of horrible abuse? You've just jogged my memory, and that's absolutely the most shocking moment. And realistically, there's no McMahon working for WWE right now. Hunter is McMahon adjacent, of course, but he's not a McMahon.
And Stephanie's not there, and it's like
Stephanie doesn't work there.
I want Stephanie to come back. It sounds weird. I don't have any personal contact. I never met the woman or anything, but there's part of me just I want
there
her
to be a
come
McMahon.
back, and I don't know. I want that safety net, I guess.
I think you'll get it with the grandkids.
Maybe. I mean, they won't have an easy in with the company right now, though.
I mean, to Hunter's girls will.
Not as easy as they would have had before.
Less easy, but still pretty easy. I mean, same thing with Shane's son, I'm sure. But yeah, that was crazy.
So on a different note, instead of just shocking moments, we have Smark Out moments. So this could be, it's basically what's your overall like best and worst thing of the year of some fashion. So the coolest thing, maybe you're really happy as a fan. What's the thing that made you really disappointed? Maybe you want to like stop watching WWE entirely.
Oh, so we're going to talk about Vince again?
I have 3 things written down on my list for worst. One is the Vince McMahon trafficking thing.
Right, because didn't that also lead to like the Brock Lesnar stuff? Because wasn't Brock Lesnar supposed to be in the Rumble? Weren't we supposed to get Brock Lesnar versus Gunther?
Brock and Gunther, yeah.
Like, yeah, you know, fuck, that's horrible.
So I've got, on my worst, I have 3 things. I have Vince McMahon trafficking scandal, the overabundance and increase of ads. So when it comes to like the Prime logo in the ring.
Oh, they're getting way out there, aren't they?
It's pissing me off. It's exactly what I was expecting that would happen.
Because Survivor Series was like
Sonic, and
the 2 corners had Diablo, the other 2 corners had Sonic. Still the Prime logo. I think when I started to notice it was really egregious, Money in the Bank, where they had one on the women's thing and then another on the men's thing, and they have it like in all the LEDs, even the ones high up. There's like other ads.
So I hate that. But the thing that made me almost just go, I'm fucking out of this. It's right after the Vince McMahon trafficking thing and all happens and all this crazy stuff is going on and it's drumming up all the issues from WrestleMania 39 and stuff. But the whole situation where Cody Rhodes wins the Royal Rumble and then he gives up his Mania match to The Rock. That night I was like, you have got to be fucking kidding me. Cody's going to go out there and go, I think I shouldn't have my fucking Mania match. Here you go, Rock. Go get him, champ.
I'm still curious as to what the actual plan was. The only thing we know, correct me if I'm wrong, is that Cody was like, you wouldn't have liked it. Like, remember, because Cody was like, I'm still taking everything from you, just not at WrestleMania. So what was the plan? Were they going to do Cody Roman at SummerSlam?
Or were they going to do it just at the next event, just at Backlash?
It's a 2-night Mania. Would they have done it, would it have been like a thing where it would have been like, well, Roman lost to Rock, so now lost to Cody. Doesn't mean as much. Would it really just have been, well, Cody's going to challenge Seth? I think a lot about that. And you're right, that's a terrible moment. It really was inspiring of how people were just like, no, we're not doing this. And it was nice that they actually pivoted, even though I know it's a meme now from The Rock. I told them, let's pivot, and I'll go heel. But like, it was nice that they pivoted. I would say the Vince stuff for sure, and I'll go a step further. Like, I get a lump in my throat and a pit in my stomach every time new information comes out, or like new, even if it's just Janelle Grant's attorney, new statement. I get like, ugh, I don't want to hear about this. I don't want to think about this. I just want this thing to like let him get his comeuppance and let's all move on, And I hope that we're close to that moment.
Some wild stuff that came out this year.
Some wild stuff that came out this year. The kind of stuff where it's like, you're kind of not in the sense of like, I see some people on Twitter sometimes be like, Vince will never see jail. He's a god. I'm not doing that. But I will say, like, man, I hate that I can't just like put on an old wrestling show and hear his voice without thinking, ugh, you pig. You fucking horrible person, you. Like, that sucks. I will admit. Um, shout out, and I won't get too political, but shout out to Undertaker and everybody just getting really annoying during election season.
Yeah, when you're when the people that you used to really hold up in high regard are
Undertaker doing a podcast interview with Trump. Like that kind of sucked. Actually, you know what? And I think I will put, just to not have everything be personal, I just have something actually storyline related. Not most shocking, but worst Smark Out moment, because I don't think I'm ready. John Cena's retirement. That announcement legitimately came out of nowhere. Where it was like, oh, Cena's at Money in the Bank. What does that say? Is he retiring now? And then you find out, like, okay, he's doing Rumble, Mania, and Chamber. So is he retiring on Mania? And then you find out, okay, he's at least gonna try to do the whole year. But I know that you're like me, and the entire thing I'm thinking about is
that fucker's getting injured.
Please don't get hurt. Please don't get hurt. Fuck, don't get hurt. Like,
I'd bet money on it. I hate to be like so fatalist, but it's like it's gonna happen.
Nah, don't say that. Like, unfortunately, I still think the same thing about Punk every time Punk gets in the ring now. I don't know why. I don't know why.
The fact that he did War Games, I was just like, don't do that. It's gonna end up happening again. I was like,
you did Hell in a Cell and then you did War Games. Are you crazy? And I don't know why, because like, I've seen people come back from worse. It just, everything with these two feels so final, and I don't want anything to be cut short. But yeah, John Cena announcing his retirement. I'm not gonna lie and say like, oh well, I wasn't ready because he was gone for a while. But it's kind of sad when you think about like, oh, this was my generation's guy. Am I old? Like, it's that kind of like, am I like, because he's retiring, Tanahashi's retiring, and Goldberg all next year. All three of them doing their last matches. That's some heavy hitters. And I think that I'm pretty bummed out about it. Will be less bummed out if he keeps going. I still like Vince. I understand it. I just hope he doesn't keep saying it out loud, kind of thing.
Now, best Smark Out moments.
It's Cody.
I've got a couple different things written down. I got R-Truth wants to be tagged into the Royal Rumble. Made me laugh.
The only thing I think about that moment is when I think about Cody being like, I wanted to fucking cut you off so badly. I can't believe I had to lay there and watch you do that shit.
I've got Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman Hall of Fame speech. I almost said Paul of Fame.
Oh, that was really good.
Those speeches were good. They were among the best Hall of Fame speeches that they've ever had.
I got back to listen to Heyman's a couple of times, especially the uncensored version where he just says, "You can suck my fucking dick." Fantastic.
And you got like even like Stephanie in the crowd, and it's like, oh, look at this! Like they're all acting like, hey, fuck, we can all have fun now that Vince is gone. Like,
yeah, and they were having such a good time.
I've got the Damian Priest Money in the Bank cash in a Mania.
Yeah. Again, fun moment that he got there. Wasn't my favorite.
I've got the overly dramatic I am the storm, you're in my way in life promo, because I was like, this is so stupid, but I love it.
You're
the Georgia Tech promo.
In life.
But it's gotta be Cody Rhodes wins the Royal Rumble, finally actually goes on to beat Roman Reigns in the main event of WrestleMania.
I wanted Punk to win the Rumble, as evident by the fact that the poor man pointed to nothing a couple of weeks ago on Raw, just because he wants so badly to just do the thing. So I wish he would have won the Rumble, but it was very nice to see Cody win the world title. That is my top Smark Out moment of the year, because it was just like, I watched last year's with you. I was on the verge of tears. I'm not ashamed to say that. And I've mentioned this several times since then. Part of the reason that hit me so hard is because the world is bad enough.
Mm-hmm.
You should have just let Cody win. So when you see Cody win, and you see the next night on Raw when there's the clip of his daughter being like, Papa finished the story. It was just like, yeah, good things are good.
You got the story about the Rolex.
Story about the Rolex. And then when you think about all the shit that actually went into it, that makes you go, this almost didn't happen. But now it feels even better because you've got this new era and Cody can kind of be the guy. And Roman gets time off, perfect timing, personal wise, so that he can be with, his father. Everything like worked out very serendipitously. And by the way, that ending of that match was fun as all hell.
So fucking good.
It should have been Austin. Should have absolutely been Austin. I recently read a thing from Triple H. I think I might have written the thing actually, where Undertaker was like he didn't want to do it, and he was actually insistent. Like, I'm not putting on the hat. I'm not putting on the jacket. If I do this, I'm just doing it as me. And you can kind of get that vibe from the run-in, but it was the perfect moment. The stuff afterwards was a little egregious with like the whole, hey, get his mom in there, get Bruce Pritchard out there, get Triple H in there, but it felt right. It felt like, you know what, he fucking earned this.
I wanted WrestleMania 10. They gave me WrestleMania 10 with that.
Yeah, and it was such a fun moment. And I still say what the match, more than anything, the match I want at Mania 41 in Vegas is Rollins and Roman, because the moment of the match is Roman being like, God, I'm so fucking triggered by you, by your presence and what you did to me 10 years ago, that I'm just going to hit you with a chair. I don't care if I lose everything. Like, they need to solve their issues, and I can't wait to see what they do with that story. And the Cody story, did I like the follow-up? No, but WWE is about the moments, and that was the moment of the year.
So let's round things out from the writing awards with the best and the worst storylines of the year. Another self-explanatory category. I had 2 written down that I'm sure if I went through and I looked at just the roster even, that I'd be like, oh, that's right, like this dumb story in NXT of like, I don't know, say like the Idris Enofe and Malik Blade are upset and Brindley Reese is trying to get them to be like happy with being losers, or like, different things like that.
Fuck.
Or the Dante Chen is beating Lexus King and he's upset. Like, there's like stupid things like that or whatever. But the 2 that I had written down before I went, and I was just like, I'm not just going to go through this list and just, hey, that wasn't a great story with the D'Angelo family against blah blah or something. I did have down Pete Dunne doesn't like being called Butch.
It's a terrible story.
And I did have down Final Testament feuding with New Day and the Odyssey Jones element of all that. Because it just flopped. Now, I don't know if I can give that because it did flop before they could actually start doing the thing that they wanted to do. And then they just pivoted and Final Testament started to do stuff with The Miz and all this. And
well, Karrion Kross is getting away with like doing these bits and pieces on social media where he's just like, I still infect everybody I come in contact with. New Day's heel now. Drew is heel now. Everyone I've come in contact with is now heel. They have embraced what I was telling them. So let's see if that eventually pays itself off.
The Wyatt Six can be on this list.
Yeah, it's not great.
I mean, I could do the whole downfall of Lexus King, like I mentioned.
Daddy issues, Lexus King.
Yeah, all that stuff. I know that there hasn't been a whole lot of great stuff happening on the SmackDown Women's division. Even though I like what Nia Jax has been doing, there's been a lot of like just going through the motions. I think that the whole feud with Legado del Fantasma and the breakup with the LWO was just like both teams suck now.
Yeah, I agree completely. I could go with Judgment Day's never-ending breakup. Feels like they've been breaking up since they got together.
That's a good one to put down there. I might have to add that on my
Like it really
honorable
does feel like
mentions.
they've been breaking up since they got together. I could say again ad nauseum, LA Knight, Logan Paul. Didn't like anything with Logan Paul this year. Because the whole bit of just like, I don't have to defend. There's that. There's Chad Gable and Alpha Academy split. But I do kind of like American Made, so maybe not that.
There's the Legado del Fantasma feud with Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin.
Yeah, that's really sad. This dude retired Kurt Angle. I just let him go like that. Trying to think of what else.
Pride and Final Testament.
Pride and Final Testament. Really, at this point, Final Testament in general.
Final Testament and everyone.
Again, Pete Dunne doesn't like Butch. Terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. The never-ending tease of the breakup of A-Town Down Under, which
Yeah,
I
that's
think
been
they
going on
kind
for
of
a
backed
long
off.
time. Yeah.
I think they kind of backed off that. Finn and Damian Priest won't get away from each other.
I really hope they split them up.
Let's see. I don't like the phrase street trash, so maybe I have to give a sad nod to Gunther and Damian Priest for creating that.
Was the Natty and Tegan tag team story this year?
It might have been, actually, yeah. Oh, Tony D'Angelo does Rocky 3. Might be up there for me.
Oh, was this year when Von Wagner was still doing the thing with talking about his head?
You gotta trust me, Vaughn.
And then he gets fired.
Yeah, that's up there too, isn't it? Jesus. I could also just again say I fuck this Chase U thing because some of the storyline just did not make sense from a logical standpoint.
Lexus King and Eddie Thorpe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not as down as either one of those men as you are, but can't deny it.
I still think that Lexus King has more to offer, but that feud with Eddie Thorpe was garbage.
The dragged out storyline with the bloodline only for them to run the to just rush the rest of the story despite having all that time in the world.
Any ones that stand out as like your definite pick?
I'm still thinking. Now. Did you pick a definite yet?
No.
Yeah,
I'm still looking through my list to be like, is there anybody that I can really go with in particular? But yeah, as far as I'm aware, Guru Raj didn't do anything.
Guru? What? You can't say his name and they do that.
Those classic theme songs of just saying the name Guru Raj, and now he comes out, and it's like, all right, well, at least I know who it is.
Yeah, he's Guru Raj.
Did we mention Wyatt Six?
if we didn't, we could say it again because listen, it does kind of suck. It's not
Practically anything that Andrade's done this year.
Oh boy, can we talk about Andrade like leaving AEW and then being in the exact same spot, like the exact same spot?
Pretty much, if not potentially worse. Man, imagine if he goes to TNA and they just give him the world championship.
I mean, if he goes to TNA, he's probably going to be the world champion. The Usos feuding as part of just like the Bloodline mess. That's another thing you could say. The Bloodline storyline goes on way too long. What's the actual plan to end this thing?
Does it just end with Roman beating Rock? And then, like, what do they do with Solo and Tamatanga?
That's
and
the thing. It's like, how do you get out of there?
You know what happens? They all go to like they do the big tribal combat match or whatever. Roman beats The Rock. He becomes like the definitive. He is the tribal chief. Everybody acknowledges him. And then they all decide to go to therapy. And it ends with Jacob Fatu just going, "I love you, everyone."
All right, I would pay for one Dr. Shelby segment.
Oh, Dr. Shelby, yeah.
At least.
Scorpio Sky could be in my background again.
You know what's a good one? Cody versus Shinsuke for no reason. Because Cody needs something to do before he can challenge Roman.
Yeah, they fought a lot.
But yeah, you know what? Upon further thought, I think I'm going to go with Bloodline storyline drags on way too long. Because what is if you put the rumors that Rock isn't working Mania,
I'm nervous about that.
What are we doing? What are we doing here?
And they can't drag that another year.
Theoretically they could. It just won't pack the same punch.
I can't see Roman and Solo and all them fighting for a full another year.
But what happens when they're all together and now it's the 8 of them?
Let's ask Tongaloa what happens to that.
Well, no, that's why you got The Rock.
Or Hikuleo, who hasn't even been on TV.
Yeah,
that's crazy that he hasn't been on TV yet.
I think I'm going to go with that because realistically, and this is my logic, and I know I've droned on a lot tonight, I apologize. But this is my logic here. This feud the whole thing should have started winding down last year. That's first of all. Second of all, Roman being champion as long as he was didn't benefit anyone. I think you could have given Cody the title last year and still done everything you did, and we would have been okay. We ended up getting a stupid Usos feud just so they could say they had a match at Mania together. The match was shitty to the point where it was just like, can we get them back together already? The new Bloodline forms, they don't really do anything. And then Solo gets a couple of shots at Cody. Roman comes back, doesn't apologize for anything, and just immediately starts fighting the new Bloodline. And then somehow they have to involve Punk and Bronson Reed in their big feud.
Yeah, I still think that's
even though they had 4-on-4. And that's with the inclusion of Sammy. Hey, you didn't even really need to add because you have 25 relatives. But yeah, I think honestly that storyline has gone on too long. I hope that the Tribal Combat on January 6th is the end of it. I don't know where everybody else goes from there, but I think you need to end it.
I mean, I'm really hoping that it's like Tribal Combat happens, The Rock pops up, and we get confirmation that it's Rock and Roman at Mania, you know?
I would hope so.
Also, shout out to a thing we mentioned earlier, the Maxine Dupree and Candice LeRae thing with the whole brother thing.
Your dead brother thing is intense.
Yeah. On the best storyline, though, I did have the downfall of the bloodline going up until WrestleMania and the way that they kind of sorted that all out.
And then it fell apart, though. They didn't downfall at all. Like, it's only expanded. Now there's more bloodline. Everything is bloodline.
I've also got Dominic Mysterio, Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley.
I think there's an argument to be made that the beginning of all of that was some of the most fun TV on main roster programming. Because the little hints of, is he with her? Is he not with Liv? Is he with Liv? Priest keeps finding Dom in these compromising positions. And Carlito is acting like a 12-year-old who's never seen tits before. It's just like, that's cool. Like, very funny.
To be fair, no matter how old you are, it's still cool.
Yeah. Yes, but, have a little bit of cool about you when you're saying that.
I'm not picking those, though. I'm picking CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre.
Obviously, it's CM Punk and Drew McIntyre. I loved everything that. I think this was a great example of a story that no one had on their list this year, and they're forever intertwined. And you couldn't have told me when Punk came back that McIntyre would go down as one of his greatest rivals ever.
It's crazy, right?
And he's probably McIntyre's greatest rival, and McIntyre makes that list for Punk. And I think that's great. And kudos to them for what they were able to pull off.
So yeah, we're in a situation now where that's like, maybe some things can change. Maybe in the course of this next few weeks before we get to the very, very end of the year that something pops up and it's like, oh my God, that actually is a great storyline or something. Because look, if we would have done this a couple weeks ago, we wouldn't have had the New Day heel turn, for instance, or the DIY heel turn, or, whatever the storylines switch around. But probably these are going to be set. And if they do end up changing something crazy, we'll address that in the the comments or the hot tags episode or something along those lines. But that does do in the writing awards side of WWE. So of course, leave your comments if you're on Facebook, if you're on Twitter, if you're on Discord, if you are just hanging out on the website, whatever it might be. Chat it up on YouTube. Let us know what you think about what we picked. Keep in mind all this marketplace stuff that I mentioned before. Make sure that you check out all the stuff on the link tree at amangotree.com. Like, follow, favorite, subscribe, share, do all that good stuff. Make sure that you're checking me out at Tony Mango on a lot of those different platforms too.
Yep, check me out at DeFelice and check out all the great stuff we have on smarkoutmoment.com, as well as the great stuff I have on Fightful. And you should check out Callum Wiggins too at Wigmaster 14.
So that means that the next time you're going to be hearing from the WWE side of this is going to be the Performer Awards. Managers, valets, broadcast correspondents, commentators, newcomers, main roster call-ups, tag teams, heels, faces, male, female, and overall superstars. That's what we're going to break down next time around. Make sure you check out the technical and the writing, but you're on the writing awards now. Make sure you're checking out the technical awards if you didn't check that out already. Make sure you check out the AEW side of things. And basically just stick around and, finish out this year's list of everything. Whenever you click around or maybe you decide to check out whatever videos or, podcast sections it is, we'll see you then. But for now, this has been another Smark Out Moment, and we're being counted out.